Hey there guys, the PC guy here with the news in tech and gaming for the week, and I usually start with tech, but this time around gaming definitely takes the precedence. If you are not aware, there's been quite a situation with Blizzard and the whole Hong Kong situation. Not gonna go into much of the politics of that, more the impact that it has had on gaming and the gaming companies in particular. So what happened was during the Hearthstone tournament last weekend, one of the streamers, after he won the tournament, decided to voice his support for the Hong Kong resistance movement, and that did not really work out well. The casters that were casting the Hearthstone match, they both got terminated, even though they had not much to do with it. It is a lot of conflicting information that it is said that they kind of egged them on to do it, although they also tried to stop him when that actually happened. So yeah, take your pick there. Uh, and the Hearthstone player in question, he got his winnings stripped from him. That was $10,000, I believe, and he got banned from all Hearthstone competitive matches for 1 year. Which, if you are a professional player, that's quite massive, and so is the prize money really for an Hearthstone tournament. That is quite a decent amount of money to make, and it's quite a decent amount to be taken back from you. Now, the implications of this, and people got really angry about this because it's obviously an attempt from Blizzard to please their investments and their investors in China and to try to avoid getting banned in China like. Not very long ago, last week as well, actually, South Park was completely scrubbed out of the Chinese internet because of their references to China in their latest episode, which I have watched it. It is quite bold, I guess, so it was to be expected, but it's South Park. They knew it was going to happen and they went for it anyway. In this case, we are talking about someone being punished for voicing their opinion on the stream, that even though it was an official competition, and there are rules in the contract for that, the punishment was quite heavy, quite swift, also including the casters that had not a whole lot to do with it. So yeah, in the meantime, the controversy has just grown and grown and grown. And as you know, I usually give the news that I can find, but I also put my opinion out there a bit, which is why they take a bit longer sometimes. So voices have been clamoring for pretty much about everywhere, from U.S. senators on both sides of the fence to other gaming industry companies like Epic, for example. Mark Kern, he was a developer back in the original WoW, and he was one of the driving forces behind Classic. He also spoke out against Blizzard. Blizzard's own employees have kind of protested and covered up some of the company values that are on display on the Blizzard HQ, like every voice matters. They cover them with paper in protest, that sort of thing. And so yeah, the outcry has been quite massive. You could say it's a bit overblown because, as gamers, usually we don't care much about politics. However, when those politics start affecting the games, and that is seen in how a lot of games have to be censored and sanitized to not offend Chinese sensibilities and to be released in China. Uh, yeah, when it starts cutting down on the games for the sake of politics, that's when people start getting mad. And this was just a drop that that made the bucket overflow because yeah, like I said, that has happened a lot of times before, like gambling machines being removed from the games, skeletons being replaced by whatever because it's against sensibilities there. So and this is not only about the games being released there, but the version of the game that is released worldwide often suffers from that as well and is sanitized as well, as opposed to having two different game versions, one in China, one in the rest of the world. So it does affect gaming worldwide, those specific censorship issues. It also has a lot to do with how a foreign country, in this case China, with a very particular regime that has kind of a stranglehold on public expression and public opinions, tries to, through their economic power, in this case the ability for foreign companies to invest and release their products there, tries to limit the free speech and what people can say worldwide because, if those people are not censored in their free speech countries, then those companies that originate, in this case from the US, cannot release their products on China. So there is that economic pressure to control speech about China, even outside of China. So that is also what is pissing a lot of people off and a good catalyst for this whole situation. And I cannot say I disagree with people being angry about it, at least not at the base level. I think that as far as the ban and the prize money withdrawal goes, they were within the right to punish them. It was a bit too harsh, so in a way I can see Blizzard's side. On the other hand, I am definitely against the sort of worldwide censorship that is trying to be enforced in here. There has been a few boycott Blizzard movements of people just deleting all their Blizzard games, canceling subscriptions, uh, trying to, well, stop people or convince people to not support Blizzard anymore. There has been reports that people have been trying to delete their Blizzard accounts, but they are unable to because supposedly Blizzard has stopped them from canceling their accounts or making the process fail in an error at the end of it. Could be just an overflow or a technical issue at the Blizzard site, or it could be something a bit more sneaky. Hard to tell. I kind of would not doubt if it was something a bit more shady, but I also am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. In any case, BlizzCon is in 2-3 weeks, so with this whole thing happening, I am kind of wondering how that's gonna go. They usually have live Q&As, talking to audience members, asking questions. I would not be surprised if those live Q&As were scrapped or at least transmitted not live but with a delay to give them time to cut out any potential protests or whatnot. Blizzard has also released a statement finally yesterday, 3 days after the whole thing kind of sparked. I just found a random article about it to read. In it, they kind of have went back a bit on their punishments, however, they are still in place, and that does not make the whole thing go away, really. It's just kind of a damage control and a weak attempt at that. Apparently, the Taiwanese shoutcasters that were terminated, they had their termination, well, kind of rescinded to 6 months, which is still very harsh because gamecasters don't make that much. It's not like you're an NBA announcer or some sort of thing. NBA, yeah. So yeah, in any case, this is pretty much a very harsh blow to their career. They might have to find something else to do in the meantime, and yeah, then trying to break again in the esports scene after this whole thing might be very difficult. So definitely think Blizzard should have thought better before ruining these people's careers. As far as Blitzchung goes, the Hearthstone player mentioned, he had his suspension also reduced to 6 months from a year, and he had his prize money reinstated, which is a step in the right direction, but again, that does not change the knee-jerk reaction that Blizzard had and, well, the motivations behind it, which is what really is getting people quite angry. End of the story, I'm not going to call for Blizzard boycotts. You do what your conscience tells you to do. If you really care, if you are passionate about the political side of this and the whole free speech thing, then by all means, I am 100% behind you. If you like Blizzard games anyway and want to keep playing, then I also support you wholeheartedly. I mean, it's your free time, it's your choice, it's a hobby you enjoy. Personally, while I completely sympathize with the people doing it, I will continue playing for one simple reason, and that is that World of Warcraft is how I spend time with and get in touch with the not many friends that I have. So cutting that back would be, yeah, it would be quite a blow to my free time entertainment. And honestly, I have no other games that I really enjoy playing for an extended period of time right now. So I will continue playing while at the same time saying that I really think Blizzard has been way too heavy-handed on this and that they should not just bend over like this to try to please the Chinese market. They should think that they have a worldwide audience and that most of their subscribers really and the most of their income is not in the Chinese base. They're trying to invest in for the future when the Chinese market grows further. But right now you are sacrificing the player base that built you because it was the Western market that built Blizzard from the ground up with their support. You're sacrificing those people, spitting in their face to please the Chinese market that is just now coming into full bloom. And it's just disrespectful for all gamers, especially when you have companies like Epic, which are 40 something percent owned by Tencent, a Japanese company, speaking out against you and saying they would never do that. Would they? Who knows? It didn't happen, so we cannot say if they would do that or not. But they say they didn't, and they are not afraid of the backlash that can possibly come from Tencent, while Blizzard is 5% owned by Tencent, less than 10% of Epic is, and is just, well, doing this. So yeah, I would like now to put this topic to rest. Feel free to discuss in the comments. I have nothing against that, but I will continue with the rest of the tech news from now. MSI has accidentally leaked the name of the next Threadripper platform for the up-and-coming Threadripper processors. Apparently it's going to be named TRX40. It has been listed on MSI site under a few categories, which is probably accidental. And according to patent listings, there is also a TRX80 and WRX80 that might also be higher end or lower end, probably higher Threadripper platforms that will also be up and coming, supposedly, or maybe just naming schemes that are just being patented already in advance for something else or the next platform after that. So in any case, that's the name of the new platform. We have a very big shortage on details about that, but you know, that's that. According to an article on Tom's Hardware, the PS5 will feature AMD accelerated ray tracing. So this will be hardware accelerating supposedly, so there will be dedicated hardware for ray tracing, just much like the RTX cards from Nvidia do. So this has been now semi-officially announced, not really a full-on Sony thing, but in an interview, I believe. So at least you know something about that further. It has been kind of a topic of debate whether the next gen of AMD cards would feature ray tracing or not, and if so, in what capability. Now we do know for sure that it will be hardware accelerated, and remains to be seen what kind of approach they take to that, and what kind of performance it will actually have, not only on the consoles, but in the upcoming RDNA 2 for their computer GPUs. The article also goes on to detail another few little points that we were not completely sure about the PS5, like the fact that the games will have to be fully installed on the drive because the Blu-ray player cannot keep up with the speed of the SSD, so it will be a lot faster to run it directly from the SSD than to wait for it to be read from the CD or Blu-ray in this case that you would be getting. This also means that if you buy the physical game, it is nothing but just a medium for you to install it quicker than having to download it, because you still have to install it anyway, and after that you can take the Blu-ray out and just put it in a box somewhere. Intel has just revealed their Element initiative, which is an attempt at bringing modular PCs into the spotlight. Now, PCs are modular by nature. If you want to take out your graphics card and put a new one, or take out the hard drive and put a new one, that's modularity for you. But in this case, they are trying to simplify it and make it a lot easier. And well, from the looks of it, a bit more compact. There are a few pictures here, and as you can tell, the whole system is not very large considering the size of this person's hand, and as he has very big hands. And you can literally just slot the different modules here and replace them at will quite easily. They are powered by PCIe slots. You can just use them for power and information. It does seem to be kind of cramped in there cooling wise, so I am kind of curious how that are gonna handle that. If it's only gonna be like low power systems, or if they're gonna have something a bit more potent in there. So well, yeah, it remains to be seen. It is just the unveiling. There's no products out there yet that can be reviewed, tried, or tested. So, but it seems to be aimed mostly not so much as enthusiasts, but maybe on the enterprise level, where people can have one computer that can be used for several different tasks, and they can replace modules at will depending on the task needed. And it seems to be a very quick process from what I can see of the design, of merely slotting it in there and you're pretty much done. So that might actually be the biggest aim of this, but we'll see when it gets out. AMD's mobility chips are going to be coming to laptops in Q1 2020, so the first 3 months of the year, and they are supposed to be bringing laptops with 6-core Ryzen CPUs along with discrete graphics cards and costing probably not a lot more than $699 dollars. Well, MSRP obviously, but on average. They are supposed to be sporting either a 5300M, which has not been announced or released yet, or a 5500M, which we have had an announcement for at the very least, although we are not quite sure about the pricing so far. The new discrete graphics cards are definitely an improvement, since the architecture in mobile AMD CPUs, as far as GPU goes, was still a very old architecture used, so this optimization will be by leaps and bounds a major improvement. They're also supposed to be having a battery life of up to 12 hours, which is pretty decent for laptops. I haven't had a laptop in a while, but I remember my old one had like 3-4 hours of battery time, and that was about it. So 12 hours in my experience is quite a lot. Maybe I'm missing out on the latest laptop launches and the battery life has increased since then, but for what I am used to from a few years back, that's quite a big improvement. Few benchmarks have appeared for the AMD's HPC EPIC 7742, and apparently it completely destroys Intel's Xeon Platinum 8280, which is 3 times more expensive. So it's another roll for Intel after their complete defeat on the HDD market, considering their Xeon lineup has just had their prices slashed by 50%, and even then they're not really super competitive. It's another blow to Intel for sure. They also have no mention of any fixes yet for the exploit issues that we have been kind of experienced for the past few years, like the zombie lane, spoiler, spectre, that sort of thing. That all is completely unaddressed so far still, as far as hardware level mitigations go. So yeah, until that is solved, I don't think a lot of companies will be wanting to place their bets on Intel, because while those exploits are mostly harmless for consumers. I mean, how likely is a general person to be targeted in a specific way like that? Possible, highly unlikely. But as far as companies go, they like their security, they like their stability, and Intel is severely lacking the security measures right now. And that's not even taking into account the pricing and the performance compared to AMD. So Intel really needs to get their game together, not just on the desktop market, but also on the server segment, considering AMD is slated to take 10% of the market share in just a year or two. So yeah, Intel, get your game together. Last piece of the tech news, it's not so much news, but like a point out, AMD has unveiled their 5500 and 5500M RX video cards. I have made a video about it a couple days ago, so yeah, feel free to check it out. I list out the specs and other information known there. So yeah, the video's there. I think it was on the last week, so 2 videos before this one, you should be able to find it. For the final piece, a few World of Warcraft news that are not huge drama. The video trailer for the next patch 8.3 has just dropped, and it does bring some nice features that we all would love to see. First off, an overhaul of the auction house, making it a lot more easy to buy and sell your stuff, and well, kind of renewing the out-of-dated UI from 15 years ago, giving it a much easier to use functionality and also a much better interface, obviously. There is also, as far as gameplay goes, a lot of interesting features, including some visions of Zoth, which kind of will bring some challenge back to the open world content, which is something that has been severely lacking for the several past couple of years. Uh, this is all fun and games in paper. However, we also are used to getting a lot of promises that don't really pan out very well. So we will see how that works out, while being kind of excited to see how that comes out. And yeah, I know this is kind of tainted by the whole Blizzard drama thing right now with the Hong Kong situation, but let's focus on the game and try to give like I said, I try to give my opinion on stuff like this, but I try to focus mostly on the tech and on the game, and not so much on the issues surrounding it. So that's what I am trying to do right now, while sympathizing with the whole entire situation. This has been Addict PC Guy. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content and would like to help support the channel and help it grow in the future. Drop a comment if there's something that you would like to get addressed, or some topic that you'd like to see covered. Otherwise, I hope you check out the rest of our content. Have fun, and hopefully I'll see you next time.